So we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to everyone joining this session today. My name is Marie Bastian. Welcome to the Digital Fashion Innovator Series here on LinkedIn Live. I'm the CEO and founder of World of Mesh, and I'm your host for today's session. And this new era of digital fashion is bringing together so many amazing people from all around the globe. And we're here to share their stories and to celebrate them on their journey and to learn from one another and share insights. And ultimately to inspire a whole generation of digital creators coming on the forefront, as well as the industry at large. And today I'm really excited that we're diving into a big part of our industry that I'd love to focus on more in the future as well, because it's our vendor business. They're the heart and core of our industry. And today we're excited to hear their perspective on our digital transformation and 3D tech. And just to say ahead of time, all our guests are speaking on behalf of themselves and not for the companies they work at. And if you have any comments or any questions, add them in the feed. We'll do our best to bring them in on the fly and answer them or get back to them at the end of the session. All right. So with that said, I would love to welcome my guest for today, Mohammad Amir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So good to have you here. So Mohammad Amir is an experienced head of product development has demonstrated history work in the textile industry. And Amir is also very skilled at trend analysis, research, development, global sourcing, 3D design, and digital product development, which is the big aim that we're all going for. And today we're excited to hear a little bit more about his view on our digital transformation on our industry, and hear especially the view straight from a vendor, production, manufacturing point of view, to really get their perspectives in our conversations as well, because I'm sure we're going to learn the one or other really important point here. So with that said, we're so excited to have you on, Amir. I've heard so many great feedback from colleagues of mine you've been working with, and I can't wait to get started.
Great.
So, to start out, maybe you can introduce yourself, tell us a little bit what you're doing and how you got into digital fashion.
So, Marie, my background is from fashion. I studied fashion design a long time ago, but and all the experience you already mentioned that it's been in the fashion industry from the vendor side or manufacturing side, and being in Asia, fast fashion manufacturing is being done in this part of the world. And I've been associated with textile industry for a long time. So, and within that particular area, I've been, my expertise is more towards the design side, and especially fast fashion. That's my key strength, and denim is one of my key strengths, and I love about working with denims.
Yes, we're going to get into that denim topic, because I think denim as a product is so different from all the other products. Maybe we can start with that. I would love to hear, how you found that passion for working with denim products, how you really got into that area of expertise.
Well, the first time I saw denim, I absolutely fell in love with the fabric and how it behaves, and what one particular fabric can create multiple washes out of just one fabric. It's just very interesting, and the shade of indigo is something really inspiring. It's such a powerful color to use, and you can create trends, fashion, like from a clean look to a very vintage look just from one particular fabric. So that's really interesting. It's really inspired me when I saw that and learned how different fabrics behave, and especially the washing parts. Creating washes in a denim is something absolutely amazing. So
I remember.
So, but apart from denim, when I saw, how we can create a denim digitally, that's something, a big challenge. And of course, it was very, the passion of making a denim in actual was also transformed from actual to a digital one. So it was a big challenge, but somehow, with work experience and everything, we managed to create a beautiful digital process.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say, I remember that when I was my first jobs in fashion, I had some colleagues that were working on denim as well. Hi to you guys in case you're listening. And I learned a lot from their workflows. It's very different from other products. Like you have different, they were called sunbeam scratches, those effects on the jeans that you have from the pockets going to the outside, and different effects that you bring to this product, which you don't have with other product groups. It's a very different way of working, right?
Yeah. Other product categories are very relatively easier, of course. Even in manufacturing side, active products creation, or for example, t-shirt, a polo, or a sock is relatively easier. That's my opinion. But with denim, since the key part is the wash and the fabric and the feel and the fit, and transforming all that digitally is something a big challenge. Um, but all products are good to work with, and especially creating a digital version and how a laser pattern can be transformed from a laser machine to a 3D software is something technology really helped us achieving a digital sample. um, Everyone looks into the viewer side, or the how it behaves or how it looks. Should look perfect, but generally there's a big science behind it,
Yeah.
creating the data, adding physical properties so that the fit is actually the same, is something really underestimated part of the 3D world.
Absolutely. And I just had a question. Let me just go back to our listener, Qasim Hussein. Is there any way to use wash effects digitally onto the denim fabric? There's definitely ways. I think it goes over textures. Would you like to take that
Yeah.
one, or should I?
Yeah, maybe I'll take that. You see, of course, there are many ways to create effects on denim fabrics. Some take just pictures of a wash, but what I do is mostly, you see, you start with the fabric. The fabric is really important in any dish, in any either physical or digital. So scanning a digital fabric and actually seeing the warps and the weft and the highs and lows of the fabric is something really important. Then uh, the laser is something, the genealogy laser machine is something very interesting. So it's close, since Glow 3D and maybe other additional softwares also can work together with other softwares. Like a laser pattern can be imported from the laser machine directly in the 3D software, which makes life very easier. So the laser pattern is exactly the same as what is required in the physical world. So, and then creating using different softwares like Photoshop and DAS 3D, and uh,
Yes.
creating puckerings and seam effects. These are all based on the technology and software which is available in the market, and everyone have their own ways of doing it. And somehow what I've created is something all based on the research part. Nobody taught us how to create a digital denim, and all of this is based on experience and how it works and how it behaves. So
Yeah.
multiple ways, but everyone should find their own way of making a digital denim.
Yeah, just as a test, a trial and error part of it. We're all
Exactly. Of
stepping
course,
our way forward, testing new solutions.
finding way, that's the challenge. See,
Mm.
you see a physical one, and creating that into a digital version, of course, is a challenge. And just like in Photoshop, there are multiple ways of doing one thing. Of course, same thing goes for digital sampling. Everyone try and test it out. Different ways of achieving what you want to achieve.
Yeah. So what was your most challenging part on that research and development part? Like what detail did you find the hardest to transfer into the digital world when we talk about denims?
It's the shade and the wash effect. You see, denim is all about the
Mhm.
wash,
Yeah.
and in the industry works like all the designers and buyers want to see a fabric and feel it, and understand how this fabric will behave on a body, which fit will be perfect for this particular fabric, and transforming the wash into a digital one is the hardest part. You can make any pattern, you can make any fit using a 3D software, but creating a wash was a big challenge. But
Yes.
somehow, like I told you, this using um, multiple softwares, and the especially genealogy or laser pattern importing and exporting was a really key help in developing a digital denim. Then adding the wash effects of the pucking effect, and damages. All of this is try and finding your way out.
Yeah. And so if we take our step away from the denim to the wider picture of the apparel business, so how do you see the vendor side of our business evolving and adapting to this digital transformation in general? How are you coming along on that journey? And what's your take on that, just as a broad introduction?
You see, vendor plays an important part in fashion supply chain. They are the people who actually brings life to a designer's creation, which is designed either in Europe or US. But the vendor plays a very important part. Since they work with many other clients, and they have the experience of working with fast fashion, with some brands are high end, some brands are low end, so they have the experience and the team and the capability to actually to make the product. So vendor plays a very important part, and using 3D technology from vendor is something very important. And a lot of vendors are using multiple softwares, and sometimes vendors are more experienced in digital design than from the brands or retailers, since they work with different suppliers, they work with different brands, they have the team and the capability to actually deliver what is required. So a lot of vendors are using it, and sometimes, but it comes from the heart. It's not like you can force a vendor to use the technology. It should be a partnership with them. It should be something the brands and retailers and vendors are partners. So it's important for them to understand, accept from the core of their heart. It's not just, it comes from the higher management, and then it's filtered down to all the team members.
I agree, absolute. Just for everyone out there, I met Amir at PI Apparel this year. Was not that long ago, just a few months.
Yeah.
We were both in Milan, and you came up to me after I had a presentation on stage, introduced yourself, and I was so happy that you reached out, that I'm finally also getting more in contact with the vendor side of our business. And that's one of the things we talked about on stage, because I had a panel discussion on stage. And one of the main messages was also out to brands that they really should partner with their vendors and the businesses, because our vendors are in contact with so many brands, all on different levels of their digital journey, all have different progresses in place. And they've seen a lot of solutions and different ways to do stuff. So asking them how a brand might go about on their digital transformation, how they want to implement digital product creation in their process, is probably the smartest way to go, because you can save a lot of issues that were probably already solved, get best advice, and that's why it's so important to partner with your vendors. And I love that you brought that up.
So doing a pilot project in the beginning is very helpful. That's what I also do when bringing on board any new customer on digital sampling, that doing a pilot project to understand what they need, how they want to receive it, what is the standard of what is the goal of their 3D sample. It's not just if they want to see a beautiful 3D garment and it goes to waste. What is the end use of the product? So doing a pilot project with any new customer is really important to really understand the needs and the requirements, and modify your 3D workflow based on the requirements. That's really important.
Yes. And also, it's not just the solving problems on the digital, when brands are implementing digital product creation. I think that our vendor businesses can play a huge role in the topic standardization, because there's always questions coming up on how does our industry standardize, for example, fabrics, how our avatars saved, how our fabrics are saved. There's a lot of solutions that came out of these collaborations. And I think that our vendors are going to play a huge role in actually finding standards for this industry that's still evolving and not finished yet.
Exactly. It's good that you brought this up. See, standards are very important. Just like a physical product, there are many standards like quality standard, AQL level, or color standards, color fastest to light, or vendor rating based on their performance. Similarly, everything needs to be standardized for the digital world. What is the scanning purpose like? What is the DPI? What lightings is required? How does the its 3D sample is then sent to a customer? What are the key factors they want to see, and how do we standardize everything? That's really important. That's
because at the end of the day, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, all the brands, or most of the brands, are tailoring their outcome and their products to the same clients. If there's big clients that work with different brands, they're all getting the same content or the same consumers at the end of the pipeline as well. So getting that all aligned and at one level and having one language, one process or system in place, how you save stuff, how you transfer it, how you present it, makes so much sense on that side.
And right now 3D world is just, we're just in the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to do. There's so many things we still have to learn, and important thing is collaboration with different companies, and opening up data transfer from one software to other to down to the machine. That's really very, very important. So that's really my vision is, all the raw materials, like, for example, all fabric suppliers or all trim suppliers, they show physical samples to any clients or vendors or brands. Wherever they're doing that, they should be sending digital version of their raw materials, so that the process of workflow should be streamlined, or it should be lean, it should be simpler and faster. So the supply chain of digital raw materials are very important. So maybe in future, all the fabric mills, all the trim suppliers, all the label suppliers, all the thread suppliers, they should be giving a digital version of their actual product.
That makes so much that makes so much sense. The people and the teams producing actually the physical assets. So if it's like you said, the zipper, puller, the fabric, I don't know, the whatever detail you're putting into your garment, having them own and decide on how the assets are created, how they're shared, maybe also standardizations, makes total sense.
Exactly.
So that's also
right now this sort of work. So
right
now this sort of work, we everyone does it themselves. Some raw material suppliers are doing it, but it still needs to be improved. The supply chain still needs to be improved. After a while, once this is done, the whole 3D sample process will be, a smaller. It will be leaner and faster.
Yeah, that's what we're all aiming towards, right? Because it's right now, a lot of brands have their own teams that have like the ownership of the digital fabrics. They have scanners in-house, they're scanning it themselves. I think a lot of it is also because they haven't, at the early days, there weren't very much structures in place, or maybe the vendors they worked with weren't yet on board with it. But on the other side, what I also noticed, and this is something I'd love to hear your point of view on it, I had the impression at the beginning, in the early days of 3D was really created by the vendors. There were samples created and sent over, and I think the first tools that were mainly used was Browseware at the beginning. So that was like before Clo had this big hit and came up with a storm and got into our industry. I think it was also at the very early days that our vendors did have the ownership of this topic before it did move more into the brand focus. Is that right? Is that your impression?
Yeah, it's a two-way street. And it's also a passion of an individual company. For example, we at Interloop, our vision of digital transformation is much bigger. It's not just the 3D sample. It's all about digital transformation, all the area, using softwares and making it the data available online, and in the production side as well, quality check, and all of this thing it's a company's vision. So 3D part comes from the vision come from the top management and transfer down to all the
Yes.
all of the team members. So and some vendors are way ahead, and some vendors are pushed from the buyers or the retailer side, or brands or retailer side, to come into this use this technology. But if they don't have the heart, or if they don't have the passion, then they're just fulfilling a requirement. It should come from the core of their hearts to use this technology, since the process, it makes life easier. It's the speed to market is better. It's a sustainable process. So
Yeah.
it all comes down to how a company vision is using the technology.
Yeah. And also which use cases they want to activate on their brands, because there's the full end-to-end digital product creation process, from the first beginning of the concept, the ideas of the design, up to the production, to the consumer. So if you want to go this full length, there's so many ways along the step where you can involve your vendors. It could be at the very beginning when you're creating the base patterns and you're getting everything in place. They can definitely add value to that point. Then we have the point, if we move along the journey, virtual fittings. Those sometimes happen within brands, between teams. You don't even have to be at the same location anymore, so you don't have to travel all over the place. And then, of course, all the way up to the production. There's so many different steps around the digital product creation where we can involve our vendors a lot more and get them on board, and work together and collaborate without having to be in the same space, being virtually connected.
Yeah, collaboration, like I told you, is a key aspect, not just between vendor and a brand or a retailer, but all the technology suppliers. We are dependent on technology suppliers or software suppliers, and some maybe making a knitwear machine, but some could be making a laser pattern.
Yeah.
And collaborating between these companies will be very important. Like just a use case I was just in a story. I can tell you that we use many softwares, and one of them is Shimaseki, and
Oh, I love them.
thinking of it's a very beautiful way of making a true digital knit fabric without having to scan anything. So making it compatible with other software will make life much easier, and it will help grow business for all the other companies. Not just if the technology exists, but making it available through multiple platforms will actually be helpful for the whole industry.
Absolutely. And yeah, you brought up Shimaseki. They're the 3D knit heroes on my side.
Champions.
I remember I was at a workshop in Milan at their headquarters, learning from a technical side how to work with the software and how it's transferred to the machines. And it just blew my mind. I mean, this, when we're talking about digital fabrics, we're talking usually about scans. So it's like layers of pictures that create a texture on a 3D garment. And Shimaseki is one that really, it generates every thread, every yarn. You can give the details into it. It's fantastic. And you can virtually knit your fabric.
Exactly. I was so fascinated by looking at this. We can start with a yarn, a digital yarn, and we can create a design of digital fabric, a true digital knit fabric. It could be a terry, it could be a jersey, it could be any knitwear fabric. Setting up the gauge as per what I want, and it will have the physical properties right from the beginning, rather than adding it later on the fabric side. That's what a very underestimated part of 3D world is. Everyone is looking into how similar it is, how exactly it looks from physical to a digital one, but there's a lot of data behind a digital sample, and you can actually check a fit of a garment or of a garment digitally by using the data behind it. The physical properties makes a very, very important role. How does it behave? How much does it stretch? How much does it drape? That's the very underestimated part of digital sampling. Everyone is looking into how effective, how well it looks
Yes.
from the actual one, but the science behind is also very plays an important role.
Absolutely. I mean, that Shimazaki example just shows how close you can get to the actual manufacturing process by starting with the yarn, how fuzzy it is if it's a
Exactly.
mohair yarn or if it's a, if it has
And
naps in it, different structures. But this is really good that we have this question coming up. What would be the future of 3D fashion after AI technology? Because I think this topic goes really well into AI, because AI is right now a representation of a 2D image. So it's lacking all these details we just talked about, right? So the technology is not yet at a point where it can actually be transferred. And I think, like Stella said in our last session, something you can wear, something physical that goes around your body. If you want to hear more of the AI, you can also listen to the other session we had last time.
there's one thing I'll add over here, that using VR filters is something we've been exploring it last 3-4 months, and I was trying to, we also make one bigger part of our business is making socks. So I was thinking how we can, wear a digital sock ourselves. So using VR filters or mixed reality is something really, really helped in that area. So we managed to create. I can see, I can make a digital sample and actually wear it on my feet and see how it fits, how it feels.
Yeah.
But the only thing which is missing is the hand feel. I hope one day we can create a technology we can actually feel the actual feel of an actual fabric as well.
Yeah, there's people working on that. It's like a little hand glove that you wear that has a haptic
Yeah,
feeling. I've seen some versions of that already, so I'm curious how long it will take. But because you mentioned
I tried
VR,
it.
yeah?
I actually also saw that a couple of days ago, and it's a very initial stage. One fine day, I'm sure it'll be much, much better.
Yeah, we're getting there. Because you mentioned VR, I just wanted to bring in a little video that you want to show, because
Yeah.
our vendor side of the business is also exploring in virtual spaces how we connect with each other, how we can present our garments. So I would love to share this video that you showed me from the work you've been doing. So let me just bring this in. Just start again. Here we go. I'm not sure if you can hear sound.
I can hear it.
So I just thought this was really great to see when you shared that with me, and I would love to bring it in, because often we think about different areas of focus from 3D. We put them in boxes in certain areas, and VR explorations is something you would put into, I don't know, future teams and brands that are experimenting with new tools, or marketing, consumer-focused platforms. But you're actually working on these topics as well. Can you share a little something about that space that you created and how you're using it, or where you see the value from your side?
So Project Loopers is our virtual showroom. It's a very exciting project. We worked for a couple of months, and um, so so your avatar and my avatar can meet in a virtual world, and we can have a live meeting, and I can show you our digital collection within Loopverse. So and we can talk as well. So you could be in New York, or I could be in Pakistan, and then and we can meet in a virtual world using Loopverse. And since our a part of our business is, of course, we focus more on the manufacturing side. That's our main business. But keeping up with the same pace of the whole world. We do a lot of research in digital technology, and you try to use different tools and softwares.
Yeah.
So Project Loopverse was one of the initiatives that we wanted to be in the world of metaverse, and it's a customized metaverse, having a live conversation. You can come and just chill and relax or do a business. So Loopverse was inspired. The architecture was inspired by cotton flower. So the cotton flower is,
Yeah.
our major export from Pakistan is from cotton. So using the cotton flower, the shape of it, and converting that and slicing that and creating domes out of it was the architecture design behind the architecture. And it has a couple of it's divided into two domes. One dome is for the product, and the other dome is for the purpose of Interloop, of what our core values are, what customers we use, what are business like. So maybe next time we can meet in Loopers and have a live conversation there.
That would be fantastic. I love that you took the flower that is a core part of your culture of Pakistan and use that for the architecture of the doom. That's a really nice connection you put there. But yeah, so if I understand you correct, it's like a showroom area where you can also connect and demonstrate virtual garments, let the people experience actually what this means, what we're moving towards, why it's so important to get the digital technology or 3D technology implemented also on our vendor side of the business. Have you also already done like virtual fittings in that space or in any similar space? Have you tried some stuff like that already?
No, not that yet, but it's on my list. Since I'm a very curious person, I try to see what's happening in the world and try to use that which can fit into our business needs. It should make sense for what the business what we do. So right now it's on my radar, but once we have something, maybe next time I'll show you. But the closest what we do is using VR filters and drape a 3D garment on one person using VR filters or mixed reality.
But even without a virtual reality environment, we can already use the 3D files as a virtual fitting garment just by sending over a short animation of a sitting pose or a movement, or even just the stills on a actual avatar that aligns with the brand sizing convention. So, but I'm really curious to see how that evolves. So if you have any event, let me know. I'd be love to have a conversation in the Loopiverse as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So we had another question coming in here. My question is to Marie. Are brands interested moving to 3D or feeling as a sustainability push? So from my side, I think moving into the digital era automatically combines a sustainability push. Of course, it's always a question of how you can implement it, where you implement it, where you get the best benefit out of it. But this is what I love about digital fashion. This is where I found my alignment with this industry. It doesn't only bring sustainability on the way by saving samples. It also speeds up the process. It brings so many advantages in speed, efficiency, resource saving, time saving, stellar experiences, collaboration. We touched on a few of those already. I can go on and on with that list. But sustainability is a really good topic because you mentioned you work in the fast fashion industry, and I love it to have people in this industry. A colleague of mine also works there, and he says that he's purposely in this industry because he wants to change something. He wants to evolve it and make it better and find new solutions for it. So I'd love to hear from you from a digital point. I'm sure that working with 3D garments and apparel is saving you guys a lot of waste as well, right? You're reducing samples, maybe also overstock. Have you had any experience from that side?
Yes, we do actually, since of course, like you mentioned, that it is a sustainable process. It speeds up the process. It's reduced sample. That's and Interloop is also very keen of saving sustainability is also very close to our heart. So this is very also very helpful using this technology. One good thing about it that when machines talk to each other, for example, any data which is made out of a digital world, no physical needs to be made. The data goes directly to the machine, and it can create garments. So of course it is sustainable.
That's a full automated solution you have there. I remember when I was a designer, I shared in previous sessions that I had a really hard time coming around of how much unnecessary waste we're producing on this process. And I was already thinking ahead of the game on digital product creation, how we can reduce all that. And I remember as a designer that if you, for example, create a garment and you have to place your orders for the color and the fabric before you're even creating the samples. So production sites and vendors are already ordering huge rolls of fabrics. And then let's say a head of design comes around the corner and says, no, I don't want yellow, I want blue this season, we're changing it. And these stocks just get left there.
They sit there.
Yeah, and I know from working as a designer previously how much storage that takes up, how much waste that's produced, and it's so unnecessary. We can change all that if we implement digital into our process in the product development. I think people that are not so much in the loop of how the process is actually created in the physical world probably don't even have that understanding, can't really grip it, how much we can actually save with this new process. And that's why
Exactly.
I'm so behind this.
So I'll tell you a little story. There's a lot of leftover fabrics which is left, either by color or something like that. So what we did was we try to see which stocks of fabrics are available, and we using 3D technology we create different types of fits. Some customers wanted to use it for skinny fit, but what we did was made an A-line denim out of it. And we shared it with the customer, and they really loved it, and used that fabric for production. So we sort of actually saved stock fabrics and used it for production.
Absolutely. And so we had this question: how well are brands adopting 3D? You're also in contact with a lot of brands. Would you like to take that question, or should I take it?
I'll start, and maybe you can jump in. Like I told you earlier, a lot of brands are way ahead. Some are very on the beginning side. It's
everything in between.
Everything in between. So it starts from the people who are within the organization, and if they have the passion, they will actually develop and invest in this area to make. And sometimes it's pushed from the brand, sometimes it's pushed from the vendor side, and but it's about sorry, I lost my words, but it's about collaboration. It's about collaboration between using this technology, which will really, really help.
Yeah, I totally agree with all you said. The brands are at so many different stages on this journey. And it's funny because sometimes you talk to people and they say, oh, we're really not that far ahead. And then you have an insight into where they are at the point, and you're like, wow, they're really advanced already and they have no idea. And then other people say, yeah, we're already totally up to speed with 3D. It's fully implemented. We're doing great. And then you have a look at it and you're like, well, that's maybe just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more you can explore there. So it's really hard to say how brands are adopting, because we have all stages. And I would say a very small minority is really on the full track of going towards end-to-end transformation. You can implement it on so many different ways. You can just do it for visualizations at the end when you did your physical product, which I wouldn't recommend because you're losing so much benefits up front in the actual product creation process. So yeah, it's very, very different. But I do see and I celebrate every brand that goes forward with a good solution. And I'm so glad to see them also sharing and connecting with other brands, we need more connections, not only between our vendors and our brands to have partnerships, but also within the industry at large. That's what I'm hoping to do with this series as well. So yeah.
Digital sampling will be actually a new normal, and convincing and using platforms such as PI Apparel or your platforms, creating awareness is very important.
Yeah.
Once designers and buyers and vendors can understand the whole process, I'm sure they will adapt this technology.
Absolutely. So I'm just having a look at my notes over here. So yeah, maybe we can head over to the next question about how brands can best support their partners and the vendors on this process. What are points that maybe teams and brands and leads need to understand that you think you would like to voice at this moment? I'd love to give you an opportunity for that. How can brands support their partners and the vendors on that side?
First thing is, of course, partnership, and if they are lacking behind, training them, convincing them why is it important, and creating awareness sessions. Training is very important. It's just it can't start from one day and you can start and delivering the next day. Being patient with them, really teaching the process if they are lacking behind, doing pilot projects. So that would really help, buck up vendors to actually come into this area. Yes. But most important is partnership. Partnership is very, very important.
Yeah, I think that we can pin that on place one, partnership, because that's something that a lot of brands, like we mentioned, sometimes forget. And I think this is a great opportunity to reset the mindset of our industry, how we work together, to bring this to an even level where we collaborate and get to the solutions a lot quicker. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I have nothing to add to that, definitely. So, and if you think like the next year's coming up, what would be your vision? How would you like to see the vendor business evolve over time? What would be your hopes and your aspirations for your side of the business?
First thing, like I told you earlier, it's the supply chain. The supply chain needs to be digitized as much as possible. Right now, it's very limited. All the fabric suppliers, all the trim suppliers, if creating a platform online or and having a digital version of their raw materials will really help the vendors such as ourselves to create a digital sample, and everything connected online on a portal where it is available to download, or using PLM system which is compatible with 3D. Right now, PLMs are certain, but not a lot. But if we imagine all the supply chain, all the communication is done on PLM, all the BOMs are there, tech packs are there, comments are there, communication is there. So all the digital raw material can also be a part of PLM, and all the vendors of a brand can simply download what is required and combine it, create a digital sample, and upload back to the PLM, so everyone can see it, everyone can comment on it. That's what I think could be really helpful.
Absolutely. Our PLM systems are the foundation that our physical industry relies on. Product lifecycle management systems. It's really, it's like I think you mentioned earlier, everything that we're doing in a physical world for the creation of a garment, from the design, the inspiration part, the technical part, creating those tech packs where all the technical details go into the hands of the production sites, all the BOMs, the bill of materials that list all the ingredients that go into it, the colorways, the fabric orders, the communication, the exchange of information, all that happens on PLM. And that's a very physical-based PLM system for a lot of brands. And I love that you brought that up. That's a chance where we can actually get our suppliers also on board, where they can integrate their digital assets as well, and where we can have rethink our workflows and our processes. Very good point.
Yeah. So see PLM, everyone use it for normal communication part. Of course, all the tech packs are there, but what is missing right now is attaching it with the 3D world.
Yes. No, I fully
There's
agree.
one thing which is very important is creating a library of all the raw materials. For example, this one particular vendor is just using, for example, denim, so they can customize all the fabrics and on digital fabric raw materials libraries within the organization, so they don't have to do it again and again. So creating a library of all the raw materials, all the patterns, all the wash areas, um, all the threads, keeping it in their library and ready to use whenever it is required is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, digital library is a huge topic as well. Yeah. And we had this other question still. We do digital product creation for international brands, but seeing a lot of drop this year. I think. Do you want to take that topic or?
No, you can start with it.
So I think we all know that. So last year's our world was nuts, and it hasn't gotten better over the last months as well. I think we can just say it like that. But of course, we have topics like recession coming in. A lot of brands are shook up and trying to prepare for different situations. If we look at the European market, it's a little bit more on the top of the list for maybe projects being put on hold, or maybe rethinking how they want to invest and where they want to put their budgets and how they want to rethink things. So in the European market, I can definitely feel that there's something going on there. I think the US market is a little bit better on that side. They're doing a little bit better from the economy side. But I think that's having a definite influence. Of course, brands need to weather the storms, right? If there's a recession and something coming up, a brand leadership has to rethink the strategy, has to rethink the brand direction and take action to weather that storm for sure. And but I think this, at least in Europe, it's been calming down a lot, and I think fingers crossed that everything goes good for the end of this year. I'm very positive about it, and I think people were just a little bit more nervous about what's happening, and we're just preparing for any scenarios. But I think we're going to get through all right on that point. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's just a little business insight on this side. You want to say something?
So that's the thing I was wanted to say, that the recession and inflation is coming together, both not just in US but also in Europe. So you have to just weather it out. That's the only solution what we have right now. But of course, what vendor can do is keep pushing, keep showing, keep improving yourself, and sharing the data with their customers would really help.
Absolutely, because as soon as the stormy weather is over, they're all going to jump right back on. They're all going to come at the same day, ring the doorbell, and say, "We're ready to explore some more."
And this time will be good to learn, to get the training, get the team organized, get the hardware and software to get in line. So I'm sure once this phase will pass out, there will be a lot of work which will be coming.
Absolutely, using these downtimes to actually focus on things that are in the back burner, upskilling, training, getting devices in place. That's a really good add-on that you brought there.
And some vendors are, not that, patient. So if some people think that, if they invest in this, and things will turn overnight. But being very patient is very important. There's a lot of training part. There's a lot of onboarding process, and nothing can be done overnight. So there are a lot of patience with all the vendors needs to do and learn, adapt, understand, and then comes the fruit. The result will come later on.
Yeah, patience is a big part. I mean, we're on this transformation journey for many years in our industry already. It recently really got wind, like, I don't know, 2017, 2018 felt like, but it was long before. There were brands getting involved with it 2008 already. So this is definitely a long game we're playing. Patience is a very, very important point here. Not to expect people to jump on right away and to be excited about everything, because this is a people business, right? This transformation. I think we mentioned that in previous conversations. That's the hardest part, getting the people on board. It's not the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, we have the future of fashion looks bright. Absolutely. We had still a few other questions. Let me
Absolutely.
just check the time. We have 10 more minutes. We had still a question here. Fashion designing has been majorly with traditional ways to ideation design. How open are designers to leverage new digital technologies like AI and 3D fashion? Are they excited to disruption taking place, or see it in another way? Would you like to, or should I?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, from a designer side, there's all kinds of characters and people out there. I think when you really show them the tools and let them experience it and actually experience the benefits it brings for the process, once you got a taste of it, it's like the retina display. I use that as an example for a lot of these things. Once you got a taste of the good stuff, it's hard to go back to the old process. So I know a lot of designers that I've also trained for brands. They had to go in another team that had the legacy process of 2D creations, and they said, like, I can't deal with it. It's really hard to adjust back. So getting them to that point is the big challenge. But once they understand what it means for them, for their job, for the future, I think it's not hard to accelerate that. But like with everything, AI and 3D and fashion, there's a lot of fear out there. And fear comes from not being transparent, not knowing what this means for you and your brand, not knowing what this means for you and your role in the company. How is this going to influence your future workflows? The best thing going forward for a brand is being completely transparent, open, and taking the people along on the journey. And that means including them into shaping these new processes, asking them, okay, how do you do it physically? How would you like to do it digitally? What is bothering you? What's your pain points of the physical process? And how can we maybe fix those and make it more pleasant and more efficient and more fun in the digital one? That's really the challenge, I think. Yeah. Okay. So the last question we have for today, and now we're building a product to drape 3D garments on AI-generated model. It will eliminate complex Photoshop processes. Yes. I mean, we all saw the new plugin from Illustrator, Adobe, that came out for AI. There's definitely a lot happening on this side, and there's a lot of movement in the industry happening. I don't know if you want to mention something about that, Amir.
So see, of course, AI is now a big part. ChatGPT is one of the example, and using just words and creating an image out of it is really is interesting, but also very dangerous as well. But I think this area will also be will be the next big thing also, using AI and creating a digital photo shoot out of it, or create animations. But I'm excited to see and how this technology evolves, and I'm sure this will be very interesting to look out to.
Absolutely. And yeah, it is also a big topic. That's a whole topic we can have on a separate session, AI generated models, because that brings a bucket load of a lot of other questions, right? With also ethical and moral questions when it comes to using visuals of people out there. I know there's AI generation tools that put different features together so they're not linked to one person. And then they use them as models, as digital models, actually. Then there's completely CGI generated models. So that's a really nice topic. So thanks for bringing that up. We'll definitely maybe focus the conversation on that one.
This is a whole big topic.
Right. Yeah, I'll put that on my list. I'll see if anyone's out there who'd be interested in talking on this session. Feel free to reach out. I already have some in mind too when I'm just speaking about right now. So yeah, good point. So with that said, I think we're just wrapping things up right now. We had a few comments. Maybe we can get back to them also on the end of our session in our chat, if there's anything we missed. And I just want to thank you all for joining. I want to thank you, Amir, for joining us on the session and sharing our vendors' point of view all the way from Pakistan. It was so good to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and I just wanted to say also from a sustainability point of business, it's been only a few months ago that Pakistan had these floods, and I just want to wish you, your friends, your colleagues, your country all the best, and still recuperating from these floods. I think that really shows that sustainability has an effect on everyone, and we should push to get this going and to change our industry. I'm definitely on board. I hope everyone out there is as well. Yeah, all the best, and have a great week. And I'll see you another time.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.